Hi folks, welcome back to Delboy's Garage. Now this is Delboy's Garage Supplemental. Project Tow Hitch is ongoing and this is not about that today. This is Sunday, we're going out on the bikes today just before I do that I've had my fourth message today on the same question. So I'm going to do a little video about it. Now the question that keeps coming through is some of you guys are buying Harleys after having had Japanese bikes. And one of the differences between the two, among the many, is that Japanese bikes have a chain and sprockets and Harleys have a rubber belt or a Kevlar belt. And the difference between the two is quite a lot in care. So the question I'm continually getting seems to be, what do I do with my belt? How do I care for it? There's nothing in the book, etc, etc. And there is a little bit of care for a belt, it's not much, so I just want to give a quick video today to show you what to do with your Harley Davidson final drive belt to look after it, make sure it lasts a long time, because they're a lot more expensive than a chain and sprockets. They do last a lot longer, but you need to take care of them to make sure they do. So there we go, this is what we're going to do. Stick around, stay tuned, show you what you do. There you go, T1, that's for you, mate. Right, so having a quick look at this today. On a Harley Davidson they're driven by a belt, a final drive belt. Now if you come in close, this is this thing you can see here. It's like a tooth belt, a little bit like a chain, but made out of 1.5 inch thick rubber. Kevlar, if you twist it sideways, you can see these little stripy lines in here. That's kind of a solid Kevlar, extremely durable belt. Now there are two things that really you need to take care of, so we'll address them separately. One thing, firstly, is how to adjust it, or how to get the tension and adjustment correct. And the second thing is a little bit of care for the belt to make sure it lasts a long time. So, adjustment. Now, on your Harley, if you're looking close on here, on your bottom belt guard, you've got this little slot with teeth on it, or little tiny marks. And when you read the book, it talks about deflection. Now, deflection means when you press the belt with your finger, it's the amount by which it deflects. It's very straightforward. So you press the belt and you need about 1 inch of deflection, which is what we've got there. If you don't sure know that, then you can look through this little gap sight glass here, and as long as it's not deflecting more than that sight glass, because that little gap there, that's about 1.5 inches. So long as it's within that, roughly. Doesn't have to be too OCD, roughly 1 inch. Okay, now the second thing, if you want to adjust that, if it's not tight enough, you come back here, you adjust these adjuster bolts, loosen off the axle, etc. I'm not going to tell you how to adjust your back wheel, it's very simple. So that's what you're trying to do. Now the reason you have to keep that quite tight, if we come across here, when we look at a Japanese bike, you get chain and sprockets. With a chain and sprockets you get a clean hole that goes right the way through, and on the sprocket you get solid teeth. And these teeth mesh with the chain, and that's a real positive form of drive. It's a real nice strong form of drive, and there's no way that will jump or slip. But over here on a rubber belt, you see these teeth, they're only about, what do we got there, 1/4 inch, if that, and they sit in a little rounded dimple on the pulley. So effectively, if that's loose, that's going to jump, and a jumping belt is quite dangerous because it can actually cause the belt to break. These little teeth can get snapped off if there's not enough tension. So when you twang it, as you see, that effectively is the way to keep your belt nice and strong, almost like a guitar string, about 1 inch of deflection at most. So that's it. The second thing, that's your first thing. The second thing is to check the belt itself, maintenance. I want to make an absolute rule of thumb. Never ever spray anything on your belt. With a chain you always lubricate your chain. With a belt you must not lubricate your belt. Remember, I want to show you something just quick. So coming over here, if we grab some chain lube, which is what you get on your chain. I have heard old wives' tales of people saying that, oh, there's this special silicone stuff from Harley and I spray it on my belt and it makes it last longer. Rubbish. And I'm saying it now for the record. Rubbish. The belt is made from a very hard Kevlar rubber, and it deliberately is self-lubricating. I want to show you something. If we go down to the floor, we rub my finger on the floor, a dry finger, nothing. If I spray on some chain lube and I rub my finger on the floor, it's covered in grit, and that's sticky. And if I spray some more chain lube, as you will do, and then you do it again, that's like riding up the road and you get this grit sticking to the chain lube. So obviously, if you spray something on your belt, you're going to get a sticky moisture on it and all the grit's going to stick. Now that doesn't really matter too much on a chain because a chain is made of steel, but the belt's made of a very hard form of rubber, and that will effectively cause the rubber to get damaged very badly. Grit, broken glass, the road is covered, even the floor of your garage, just rub your hand on it and the roads are covered in that, and that will stick to your belt and it will lacerate it and it will cut it up and effectively it could even go as far as breaking it. And another quick thing I want to say, a lot of guys will take this bottom belt guard off because they see it looks cool, it gives a cleaner look. It does give a cleaner look. That's your choice. But beware, the belt is there for a reason. The point of importance on the belt, the bottom belt guard, is that bit there, where the belt goes into the pulley. If a stone, a little pebble or a piece of grit goes in there on the belt, gets in between the belt and the pulley, it can break the belt. And that can wrap around the back wheel and effectively cause it to crash. Cut. So we've covered deflection, checking the tension of the belt, and not to spray it with anything, ever. Keep it clean, soap and water, rinse it off, let it dry. Now finally we want to check the belt. There's a quick thing you need to do. Now obviously if we look down here, let's just swap places with the camera girl. If you look down on our belt here, you can see these little teeth, if you want to call them that. And the way to check them is like that with your finger. Rub one side, rub the other. And what you're feeling for is anything stuck in the belt, like little bits of grit or swarf or bits of metal, anything that might be stuck in it, damaging it. You're also feeling for damage. It needs to be smooth all the way across. Now one of the ways to make sure, just use a bit of savvy, get a bit of Tipex, just dot the side of one of them, because there's hundreds of teeth on these things, not like a chain. And effectively by the time that comes back round you won't remember where you are. So when we see that again we know we've gone round. And all you do, backwards and forwards, run the wheel round, check each one, back and forth, just checking that the teeth are all perfect. I'm going to go and do these now. See you in a second. Okay, and there we go, there we are. Now that's a full circuit of the belt and we've checked every tooth and they're fine. If you do find one of the teeth is missing or broken, or it's got a lump out of it or something, then you really need to start looking at whether your belt's done a lot of mileage. A belt on a Harley Davidson, if it's taken care of, should be capable of doing in the region of 30 to 35, 40,000 miles. It should last at least that long. But care and maintenance like this is what will make that happen. If you take no care of your belt at all, you run the belt loose, not tight enough, and you perhaps let it get neglected and damaged, then obviously it's not going to last very long at all, and it's your money and it's hard earned. Finally, I want to check the pulleys. I want to show you something on the pulleys. Now obviously, if you come in close here, I want you to look at this. Looking in there, we can see the pulley itself. We can actually see the teeth in the pulley. Now that area is a very important one, because when you feel it with your finger, you can turn it around like that. You can feel each tooth, and it's important to check them. And the reason you check the teeth on the pulley is that the pulleys are made of aluminium, or aluminum, however you choose to pronounce it. And obviously aluminium would be a very soft material and it wouldn't last very long at all. So what Harley do, or anybody that uses belts and pulleys does, even your cam pulleys in your car, they chrome them. And they don't use chrome, not this pretty dress chrome that looks shiny. It's this chrome on your fork legs. It's hard chrome, the sort of chrome you have on hydraulic rams. And the reason they do that is it's extremely hard. Some of you engineers out there will know that a soft product continually rubbing against something hard will actually rub the hard thing away. The belt, although it's rubber Kevlar, it would wear the pulleys out in no time at all if they weren't plated. And anything that's plated eventually can peel off. So when you feel the pulleys with your finger, what you're feeling for is the chrome plating lifting up. And I have seen several pulleys in my time that have been really badly peeled and pitted and damaged. Naturally, a sharp piece of chrome sticking off the pulley, it's obvious what it's going to do to the belt, isn't it? It's going to ruin it in no time. So go around the pulleys. On the back one, you can feel it with your finger, push it round each one, and just obviously mind if there is a bit sticking out, you don't get it in your dermis. But we go round and we check each tooth, and that's fine. The front pulley, you might think is quite hard to check, but it's not, because if you put your fingers up in there, being very careful, never ever, ever do this kind of thing with the engine running. Not if you like to be able to count to 10 or 12, depending on where you come from, mama. So obviously going up inside, you can sit still now, that's it. If we go up inside here, you can feel the back of the front pulley, of the gearbox pulley. So just what I would do is feel 1, 2, 3 teeth, take your hand out, and then here, if you count 3 teeth, push 3 teeth in, and then go again, feel 1, 2, 3, and then move the wheel, 3 teeth, etc. The idea being that your hand is out of that area when you're moving the pulley around, because obviously if you get caught it's going to take your finger into the pulley and that will ruin your whole morning. So check the front pulley, check the rear pulley, check the belt for damage, and don't spray anything on it except soapy water to get the dust and the grit off it, and spray it with clean water, let it dry, and that really is it. There's nothing much more. So looking after your belt is important. Most importantly, make sure, Missy P, camera girl has got the giggles now, make sure that
look after your broom.
Look after your broom, exactly. Make sure you look after your belt. Anybody who knows what look after your broom means can put a comment underneath, and you obviously have the same sense of humour as Delboy, and it is related to that. Look after the belt, look after the pulleys, make sure that they're in good order. When they're not, when you notice that your belt is perhaps damaged in some way, pay attention to that and change it. It's very important, because of belt breaking, when you're riding up the road, remember, Harley's got loads of torque, loads of grunt, and that tension is all important. If obviously you break a belt when you're riding along, it could be really detrimental. You will pretty much come off the bike, because you're going to lock the back wheel up at best, if not come off and hurt yourself as well. So there you go, that's all it is really, quite a quick video. Keep it tensioned, keep it clean, keep it checked. That's all there is to it. It's a lot easier than a chain, but if you do have to replace it, they're a lot more expensive. So there you go, thanks for tuning in and watching Delboy's Garage. I hope that helped you. Right, so see you next time.